is quiet and shadows fall, I'll be beside you whenever you call. When worries weigh heavy and fears take flight, I'll be your strength, guiding through the night. And when the days are dark and heavy on your heart, I'll be the voice to guide you through the dim. Strong walls may crumble, but within you've got the spark. Just turn the key, let light dissolve the grim. Did you think you were alone in your feelings? Strike a match, let your inner strength be seen. Welcome to all things serious. In the depths of your despair, where demons roam, I'll be the hand to hold. You're never alone. When storms rage fierce and winds blow strong, I'll be the shelter in your soul where you belong. Welcome to all things serious.
Welcome in, everybody. How are we all doing this fine Tuesday evening? Or Tuesday afternoon? Or Tuesday morning? How you doing, Vermont Cheddar, Jenna, BB, Roe, Mystic Jinx, Patty, Phoenix Fireside? How you doing? So, tonight's live is about grief and loss, okay? So this live might be triggering for some. It might be eye-opening for others. And to let you know, this is for educational purposes only. I am not a medical professional. So as I was doing research, I wanted to get in depth of grief because a lot of us experience grief. Some short-term, some long-term. And I want to get in depth because I want to help people understanding grief. And then afterwards, I'm going to drop the link. And if you've experienced it and you want to come up and share your side, you're more than welcome. So grief is an emotional response to loss. And it can occur after many types of events, including death of a loved one, a divorce, or a serious illness. Grief can be a difficult process, but it's normal to experience. And there's no right or wrong way to feel. Coping with grief and loss. When someone close to you dies, your world changes. You are in mourning, feeling grief and sorrow at the loss. You may feel numb, shocked, and fearful. You may feel guilty for being the one who's still alive. You may even feel angry at your loved one for leaving you. All of these feelings are normal. There are no rules on how you should feel. There is no right or wrong way to mourn. When you grieve, you feel both physical and emotional pain. People who are grieving often cry easily and can have trouble sleeping, little interest in food, problems concentrating, a hard time making decisions. As time passes, you may still miss your loved one, but for most people, the intense pain will lessen. There will be good and bad days. You may feel guilty or surprised for laughing at a joke or enjoying a visit with a friend. It is important to understand that these can be common feelings. Finding a support system. There are many ways to grieve and to learn to accept loss. Try not to ignore your grief. Support may be available until you can manage your grief on your own. While family and compassionate friends can be supportive, they may be grieving too. Some people find that sharing memories and stories about the person who is gone is one way to help each other. And this is what I tell people all the time: remember the good times. Sometimes people hesitate to bring up the loss or mention the name of the person who died because they worry this can be hurtful. But many people may find it helpful to talk directly about their loss. You are all coping with death of someone who is important in your lives. What is complicated grief? It is normal to feel sad, numb, or lost for a while after someone close to you dies. But for some people, mourning can go on so long and be so distressing that it becomes unhealthy. This prolonged and intense reaction to loss is known as complicated grief. People with this condition may be unable to comprehend or accept the loss, experience intense sorrow and emotional pain, and having trouble to resume their own life and making plans for the future. Other signs of complicated grief may include having overwhelming negative emotions, feeling preoccupied with the person who died or the circumstances of the death, and being unable to find meaning or a purpose in life. Complicated grief can be a serious condition. Those who have it may need additional help to overcome the loss. If sadness is making it difficult for you to carry on your day-to-day life, help is available. Will B, how you doing? A dose of rose, thank you for being here. Jenna, how you doing? Rody Gal, how you doing? If this is a touchy subject, I can understand. If you want to leave, that's fine. I understand. You know, we all struggle. We all struggle with the loss of a loved one or a friend. We all struggle. Complicated grief can be a serious condition. Those who have it may need additional help to overcome the loss. If sadness is making it difficult for you to carry on in your day-to-day life, help is available. Reach out to a support group. Mental health professional, or loved ones for support. If cost is a factor for you, ask your doctor or other healthcare providers if they know of any local health professionals or programs that offer low cost or free help. Aussie 12, how you doing? It's not easy, George, and I totally agree. I totally agree. So I totally agree. So I want to go on to coping with loss, the 7 stages of grief. So this is the link. I'm going to share the links that I've been using. Okay. Where I get my info from. Loss affects us all. and is one of the most traumatic life events. Here's how understanding the 7 stages of grief can help you with the grieving process. Stage 1, shock. Feelings of shock are unavoidable in nearly every situation. Even if we feel we've had time to prepare for the loss of a loved one, we know it's going to happen. But right then, but not right then and not on that day. People in shock often appear to behaving normally without a lot of emotion because the news hasn't fully sunk in yet. Often there's a sense of numbness and self-protective detachment from your feelings because they are too intense to deal with. Denial. Many people experience denial after a bereavement. They know something has happened, but it doesn't feel real. In addition to experience of shock and denial, people often describe having a mental fog. This can include forgetfulness, lack of concentration, sleeplessness, lack of motivation, repetitive thoughts, and inability to make decisions. Anger. It is perfectly normal to feel anger in times of loss, but often people try to keep this stage of grief hidden. Anger is a difficult emotion to deal with and can be minimized by others, but it's important to find someone with whom we can connect in an honest way. Bargaining. The bargaining stage is about making promises to yourself or a higher being, asking the universe for a chance to put things right. A bereaved person may seek reason where there is none. It may feel guilty about how they behaved or feel in some way to blame. There's a sense of that. Maybe I should have done things differently. If only I'd stopped them leaving the house, or I knew more about their medical condition, I could have intervened. We may feel helpless and hopeless and consumed by thoughts of what if. Depression. The jumble of emotions that usually accompanies the grieving process can typically lead to feelings of depression, isolation, anxiety, and a feeling of dread. Sometimes the suffering seems too much to bear. Someone may question the meaning of life or feel that they want to be reunited with the person that's died. In cases like this, it's so important to ask for help. People are often unsure on how to help us in our grief. So if you can accept an offer of help or ask for help, it will have the effect of strengthening those friendships. Acceptance and hope. Humans by nature crave contact, connection, and support. And at some stage in the grieving process, will want to engage with friends and family again. Acceptance is about realizing you can't change the circumstances, but then you can gain some control over how you respond. At times, we may need to distract ourselves from grief or place it to one side so we can get on with work or social situations. But this is also a stage where you might slip backwards and find yourself feeling overwhelmed from all the emotions again. It's normal to move between any of the stages of grief from hour to hour, even minute to minute. Processing grief. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. The process is highly individual. In addition, there's no quick fix. The healing process takes time and varies from person to person. Importantly, there is no normal time frame, so be patient with yourself. Express your grief in words or other creative outlet, such as painting or drawing. Connect with others. This can be loved ones or community support groups. Ask for help in whatever form. Practice deep breathing regularly. Set small, realistic goals. Ensure you're getting enough sleep and aim for some form of movement each day. Eat a healthy, balanced diet and keep hydrated. Rehearse how you respond to questions in new situations. All right, Richie, thank you for being here. So I'm going to drop the link now, and if anybody wants to come up, you're more than welcome. I got somebody coming up, Aussie 12. You can keep your camera off if you want to, Aussie 12.
Oh my gosh, sorry. This is hitting home for me in the worst way. You were going through the stages of grief, and I'm like, haven't hit that. Haven't done that. Oh, skip 4 went there, yes. So I'm actually a little distracted. You talked about distraction. I'm actually got one eye on the hockey too, Eddie. But yeah, thank you for this, because as I said in the chat, it's coming up to 8 years on the 26th of March this year since I lost my dad quite suddenly. And I'm still moving through all of that you mentioned. And, some days are good, some are bad. But I'm here, and all I do is just one step at a time. I don't get too far ahead of myself anymore. Yeah.
Loss, when you lose a loved one, it's difficult. Like I still grieve my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is it doesn't affect me like it used to.
No, that's the one thing I've started to notice. I also have the added delight, I guess I say in inverted commas, of some pretty big mental health diagnoses that came from this. So I live in the flight path of the rescue helicopters to our local hospital, and my dad was medevaced 3.5 hours away from our town in the back of a helicopter. When I saw him, he was laughing and, flirting with nurses and whatnot. So my brother and I travel 3 hours to see him the next day, and he's on head-to-toe life support in an ICU. And I remember thinking, what the hell has happened that he's on life support? I saw him last night and he was fine. So whenever I hear the rescue helicopter fly over my house, because my house, as I said, is directly under the flight path, I hit the ground. I have a massive panic attack. But the good thing now is, because the helicopter is quite loud, you can hear it coming. So it's not like sitting on top of my house and I'm panicking. And I know what to do now. Like, I have strategies in place for it. I also have as I said, I have post-traumatic stress. You spoke of depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I have all of that. But like you said, I'm starting to be better at recognizing when I'm going under. So I call it going under. By that I mean I'm starting to spiral. And
Yep.
I know, like, coming up to the anniversary or his birthday or Easter, because that's just before he was buried, cremated, things like that, where I know that's coming up. And you spoke of wanting to be around people. I didn't. I usually am quite sociable and whatnot, and everyone knew that Dad had died. But what I found I did was my mind was screaming at me to get out of the house, but it was like, no, I can't, because as you said, people were going to ask, oh, how's your dad? I had 3 months after he had passed, oh, I haven't seen your dad around for so long. Yeah, he's deceased. How do you have that conversation? And it wasn't that the person asking was being malicious. They hadn't seen him. They didn't know what had happened because they'd been out of town. And I would isolate myself, which then has the depression spiral beginning, So all of this was going on. But I actually had a fairly, what my psychologist called a catastrophic breakdown. So from the time my dad died to March the next year, the first anniversary, I don't remember a thing, except I had to have part of my jaw taken out due to some dental work. And that's it. Like, I compartmentalize, I block it out. I haven't cried for my father, and I don't want to. I don't know why. So yeah, but this, when I talk about what's happened to me, as you said, Eddie, it's individual.
Yes.
So it's not, this is the only way, and this is what you do. I still find myself, and I have a psychology degree too, so I find myself educating myself. I'm not sure if that's the word, but looking for things. If that doesn't work, try this. If that doesn't work, go back to that. Yeah, that's just what I do. But I don't know.
My daughter passed away April 13th.
Oh, my condolences.
So what I do, talking about it before used to be really triggering, and it used to get me really emotional.
Yes.
Okay. But what I do is I take that day, the 13th, and I talk to her. I spend the day talking to her, hoping she can hear me. You know what I'm saying? That's my way of communicating.
I remember as a kid, most teenagers say, oh, when I get older, I'm never going to use any words or phrases my father used. I remember the first time I said something, I think it was to my mother, or it might have been my brother. I just said something that Dad would say in passing, like I didn't even think about it. And my brother looked at me and he said, you open your mouth and Dad comes out.
That must be a good thing, though.
And I looked at him and I went, oh shit, I'm turning into my father. And I'm not upset.
He lives in you. Your dad lives in you.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm turning into my father. That would have upset me 5 years ago. But I actually like that. And my mother says, oh, you're your father's daughter. And I'm like, you're damn right I am. I'm proud to be my father, even though, as I said, like as a teenager, your parents drive you batshit nuts always, and you're never going to be like them. But what I find I do, I'm Catholic, so I'm not deeply religious, but I had some severe talking tos with God, let's say, when my dad passed. And what I find I do, and as I said, I'm Catholic, so this mightn't work for people if they're not religious or, whatever. I have our priest say mass, whether it's a Sunday mass or a weekday mass, and I go and I pray the rosary for him and for others that have passed in my family, because I also had my grandfather, my 97-year-old grandfather pass, my uncle pass, very close to all of this. And yeah, I sit under a tree and I have a chat to him. And if you were walking past me, you'd think, oh, she's nuts, she's talking to herself. But yeah, like you do with your daughter. And I don't know if he hears me. I hope he does. If he doesn't, hey, I'm getting it off my chest. And I just tell him, what's going on. But my nephew would have been about 18 months old, and I was playing with him, and he was sitting on the sofa in their playroom, and I hear him say, he looks up to the corner of the room, and he said, oh, silly pa. And I look at my mother, who was sitting on the other side of the room, and I said, did you hear him say that? And she did. And he was talking to my father. He was looking up, talking to my father. I'm sure of it. I mean, I've seen my father in visions after he passed away. He was standing in front of me. I smelled his deodorant as if he was standing in my bedroom. It sounds crazy, but, this is how it manifests for me. And if people think I'm crazy, whatever.
The thing is you have your way of grieving.
Yeah,
it's a
and
process.
as I said,
it's a process, and no one's crazy. Okay.
No, but if I told you what I just said, Eddie, and you didn't know my father had passed, or you knew my father had passed, and I'm sitting there telling you I saw him as plainly as I'm looking at my tablet screen talking to you. Now, you're probably not going to, because you understand that I am grieving. But
yes.
You know what I mean? It's like somebody who would, and I'm prejudging people when I say this. And, maybe that's a little unfair that I do that. But if you didn't know me on the street and I came up to you and told you what I just said, first thing you're going to think of, if you're most people, is, oh, you batshit nuts, kid. Now, as I said, you and I have grief in common. You, your daughter, me, my father and grandparents and whatnot. But it's interesting because I've never wanted to end my life, but I got to the point where I understood why people do. And a friend of mine who was interstate sent me, actually, I'll show you, Eddie. I'm just going to go on camera for a minute, just quickly. She sent me this. I love Tinkerbell.
Yep.
And that's Tinkerbell. She's my favorite. And she sent me that little notebook, and it's got a little message in it. We have what's called Are You OK Day here on the second Thursday in September, and it's basically a day where mental health comes into play, and you ask your friends, hey, Eddie, are you okay? How are you doing? And she sent me that, and it's got a message in it that says, I know you're not okay, but I'm here to talk if you want to. And, for me, because I've done the psych degree and I come from a family who, real people don't cry, real men don't show emotion, blah, blah, blah. I read that when she sent it to me, and the first thing I remember, my brain saying, just tell her you're okay. And opening my mouth and saying, you know what? I feel like shit. And
you're being honest with yourself.
And she's my best friend, and I was being honest with her. But I hadn't even said that to my brother I didn't say it to my brother because he was dealing with it in his own way as well.
Yep.
But I hadn't even said that to my mother. Like, my mother knew, you know what I mean? Yes. Like, she could say, oh, Jesus, she is. And she actually said, right, we're going on a trip, girls' trip, don't care, let's go, I'll pay. And I was wanting to, because she said to me at the funeral, you're about to either snap yourself or break someone's neck, because she could feel the tension coming off me,
Because you haven't grieved and you haven't let out the emotion yet.
Exactly, because I had the ulcer on my tooth. I was organizing the funeral. I had to get Dad home. Yeah, all of that. And she said, you are going to have a breakdown or you're going to do 25 to life because you've killed someone. And that was her exact words, I remember. And I thought, yep, this is not good. She's right. Even though you're like, no, I'm fine. I don't want to admit it. I'm good. What are you talking about, woman? I remember lying in bed going, you know what? Jeez, yeah, maybe she's got a point here. So yeah, but for me, it's an ongoing thing. And I said in the chat, I will probably go to the grave not being over it entirely. And I don't think I'd want to be over it in the sense, like, I don't want to keep grieving like in that acute grief stage, like when your daughter passed, when my dad passed. But I think, what was it like?
One thing I've learned over time, okay, with me, everybody's different. No one grieves the same way. We all have different stages of grief. We all have different ways of grief. Okay. So for a long time, when my daughter passed, probably a good 20 years, I grieved all the time. When I would talk about her, I would cry. When the thought of her would come up, it would break me down. Okay.
Right.
Because I didn't want to accept it. But we tend to have to learn how to move forward, not let things go.
Yes, and I think that's kind of it's funny you say that, Eddie, because I think in a way, that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That not cliche, that beautiful saying is true. But I don't know if I'm trying to think how to say it. If I wanted to, like, I get that I've got to take that step. I'm not denying that. But for me, it's like, okay, if I take that step forward, which is what I need to do, and I rationally know that, I'm a step away, or, 2 steps, 5 steps, 20 steps, whatever, away from him. And does that mean
You'll never be away from him. You'll never be away from him. He's in you, Ozzy. He's in you. You are a part of him.
But it's like I'm almost not hesitant, but it's like, hang on, if I take too many steps forward, doesn't that mean I've also not walked away? I'm trying to think of how to say it, Eddie. Like, if you go forward, you can't go back. Well, you can go back, and believe me, I've gone back 20 steps when I've gone forward 3. But I guess I'm thinking about it and what you've said. It's like, if I go too far ahead, I'm leaving him in the rear vision mirror of the car, if you know that analogy.
Okay, so what I mean is, okay.
Or if I misinterpreted what you've said, Eddie, because I
No. I think so. How I'm trying to explain my situation, okay? How my thought process works, okay? Because every person's thought process is different, okay? Our emotion levels are different, how we react to different situations, how we adjust in life. We're all different. There's no such thing as normal process.
Sure.
We all process emotions differently. It's understanding, okay? So what I mean is, it's understanding, okay, is when I think about my daughter, I got a tattoo in memory of her on me, so I'll never forget her, okay? Just like I got a tattoo in memory of my grandmother. Okay.
Yep.
When I look in the mirror, I see my daughter. When I look at my forearm, I see my grandmother. I will never forget.
I wear jewelry. I can show you. This ring is carved with my I carved that. It's based on the Tiffany ring, which I love, but don't have $5,000 to spend on it. And that's my father's date of birth in Roman numerals, 18th of August 1945. This one, I can't take off, but that one is amethyst, and that's my grandmother's birthstone. This is my great. So I wear jewelry because I'm too much of a chicken shit to get a tat. No judgment, Eddie. No,
Ozzy, once you get the first one, you're going to be addicted.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. But
but as I was saying, right? I moved forward. I didn't forget. My daughter lives with me. Okay.
I think that's what I'm scared of. If I'm honest, is forgetting. Not that
Michelle
you can
Johnson,
ever
how you doing? You will never forget your dad. Like your brother said, or what was it? You said something and it sounded like your father, right?
Yeah, you opened your mouth and Dad came out. That was my younger brother.
Okay. So he's within you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if you move forward, you're not forgetting him. What I mean by I'm not saying moving on. I never said that. Move on.
Oh, okay. I've misunderstood what you meant. Sorry.
There's a difference. Okay.
Yeah.
Because none of us is going to be able to move on from somebody that we love. A piece of it's still going to be there. Okay. A part of you is still going to be connected. So I never said move on.
I think I misheard what you said. I thought you and my mistake. Yes, sorry. Yes. I thought you were saying move on instead of move forward. My mistake. I misunderstood. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Never said move on. Just moving forward. Because your father would want you to live the best life possible.
How many damn times have I heard, excuse my cursing, Eddie, but yes. And that's why I did the big 2-month trip to America. Fully in my mind when I got on the plane thinking, he'd hate this. He'd be bitching and moaning that you were doing this trip alone. He would, and I remember sitting on the plane flying to LA going, yeah, I know he would. I could hear him screaming in the afterlife. And you know what? Here's the middle finger, Dad. I'm doing it anyway. But yeah, I mean, I had my nephew's full name is Oliver Damien John. John Damien is my dad's full name. And he was born on the 21st of August. My dad was born on the 18th. And I see so much of my dad in that crazy kid. It's beautiful to have that. And maybe I'm projecting on the poor kid, but he always asks. I've got photos of my dad on my phone and, I sit down and tell him about him. And, so that's my story, Eddie. I don't know if it's helped anyone, but, yeah, that's where I am.
Cindy. Can you comment in chat, please? Can you comment in chat? Because I don't know how old you are and I don't know who you are.
And I might jump down.
No, you're good. You're good, Ozzy.
I'm starting to have a bit of a panic attack because I probably told everyone way more than I've even told my therapist, which isn't a bad thing.
Too young.
But yeah, I just need to check the hockey score. Oh no, we're still at intermission. So yeah, but if I can
thank you for coming up.
Oh, it's Vermont. Hello.
Hey, how are you, Megan?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I just is this the bit where I tell you that I'm lactose intolerant and don't eat a lot of cheese? I'm just asking.
No, it's kind of an alias, Vermin, Vermont.
Yeah,
Vermin.
Yeah. Look, he's a rat of a
people like cheese, but some are lactose intolerant.
Okay, so I don't want to get off the rails.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump down. Eddie. I'll still be in chat if anyone wants to talk.
You're fine. Thank you. Thank you very much, Megan, for coming up here and sharing.
No worries. Take care.
Yeah, I'll give you an interlude, Eddie, if you want some. And if not, I'll step down. It's up to you, man. I just what my biggest thing going on is, my mother was very sick. She was bedridden, and I took care of her for 10 years and all this stuff. And after my father had this thing that went on that I'm sure we talked about.
Yep.
It was just going to be me, myself, and nothing else. And my brother and I, we love each other, but we really don't work well together, like oil and water. And
I know, but that's your father, and you love him to death.
And I'm very, very scared. I was very scared, and now I think after, I don't know if I'm still grieving, but basically now that my father almost passed from sepsis, like, I don't know how to get my money. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I'm so scared. Like, like my father was such a control freak. He's, like every credit card bill. He's basically my accountant and advisor. It's just like, and like he set up this trust, and I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? Like I didn't know. Like, am I having flashbacks to my mom's death, or am I just afraid that if I lose my father, and also, after my mom died, a lot of our family is separated, lost contact with each other. And I'm trying to bring the glue back. That my mom was like the best ambassador, diplomat, and glue that held the family together. She
And
never held judgment.
Yep. There's always that one figurehead in the family that is the glue. And when that glue goes, the family divides.
And that's what happened to me.
Yes. When you lose the matriarch or the patriarch of the family, it divides quite a lot of the family, and you need the glue to stick to the family together.
My father's a very hard worker. He's a good man. He's got a good heart. But, I mean, to be a businessman, you got to have a lack of empathy a little bit,
Yeah.
And my mom would always, like, talk to me or my brother or my sister-in-law or whoever. And the grandkids would always come over to see grandma. And we'd eat dinner together. I wouldn't even recognize my niece or nephew if I passed them on the street right now. I haven't seen them in that long.
Wow. All right, Jenna, I'll talk to you later.
So what do you think it is? Am I afraid? Am I scared? Do I feel like I'm unprepared?
So, in my opinion, when we were going over the grief, because you were close to your father passing away because of his sickness.
Mm-hmm.
Can you still hear me?
Yes. I was trying to listen. I thought you were gonna go on. I'm sorry if you asked a question. Maybe I lost it for a second there because my mind just, But yeah, after I lost my mom, like my brother stopped coming over, and he hates his wife, and like my nephew was attached to my sister-in-law at the hip, and then all of a sudden he just stays in his room and all this stuff, and he went from like 9. And the last time I saw him, like a few years ago, he's like right before he hit his puberty, he's like, "I hate you. I wish you were alive. Fuck you, F you." And
I lost connection for a second, Vermont. Can you hear me?
yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. All right. Back to what I was going to say.
I'm sorry
Be-
about that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
my internet went wonky for a second. Sorry. Um, what I was trying to say is, um, things are difficult. And when you were close to losing your father and he survived, your mind is still stuck, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I feel like I mean, I've said it to somebody else. It feels like my body, like I'm working out, I'm eating well, but it feels like I have this 15-pound barbell over my head and something pulling my eyes halfway shut. I have no motivation to do anything. I don't ever want to get up, and then when the nighttime comes, I can't sleep. And I just want to know that I can take care of things.
Have you seek therapy?
Yes. I also have a psychiatrist, and he actually
And have you
talks to me for like 45 minutes. Like he's like not like, "Hey, here's your pills. I'll see you in 3 months." Like he's
now do
actually
you have
like
a
a real.
therapist you talk to?
I try and I try, but like it almost feels like I'm being patronized.
So I will tell you this. For the past 13 years, I've probably had 6 different therapists. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. You gotta, well, like we said, you gotta really, shop around.
Yes. And when you get a therapist, if you feel that the therapist is patronizing you, say that. If you feel that, say
I
that.
mean, half of these therapists are like 25-year-old girls now. Like they have no wisdom. They don't.
That's
It's
why I
like,
said shop around. That's why I said shop around.
yeah,
Is
I'm
because
insulting women or youth. I'm just saying that, like, it takes a while to gain a lot of the understanding of what life is
yes,
and
I
how to
totally
accept it.
agree.
And I actually rented Ghoulies today on Amazon just so I can confront the fear that I was always afraid of it. That anyway, if anybody is in chat doesn't know what I'm talking about, it was like this old horror movie when I was a child that the picture on the VHS tape just scared the crap out of me, and like I was always afraid of it, and so I just wanted to watch it and confront it and not fear it.
Susie, my friend, thank you for being here. It's been a while.
Well, anyway, that's my story. So I don't know if I'm scared or I'm
I think you're
grieving.
scared. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both.
So that's my contribution.
Thank you, Vermont.
I always want to try to help say, anybody, um we all deal with the same stuff in different ways, in different times, but sooner or later it's going to happen to all of us,
Yes,
you know.
I agree.
So learn to be empathetic, learn to try to share peace and just be good to people. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you very much, Vermont. And be kind to yourself too, bro. Be
No, I'm
kind
a
to yourself.
soldier. I'm a soldier. I want to die with honor and valor.
I understand, but you got to be kind to yourself. You got to love yourself, bro.
I do
And I
love
know you do.
myself.
I
I
know
know
you
who
do.
I am.
I know you do. I'm just letting you know. I love you, bro.
I like you. I like you. I love you too, bro, man. All right.
Thank you for coming
Anybody
up.
coming up?
They'll
All
come
right.
up.
Well, anyway, if people aren't coming up, I'll let Eddie take control, and that's my story. So I thank you for your opinion, and I think you're right. It's a little bit of both. You know, I want to put the family back together, but I'm also scared that something happens, then
Yep.
it's all going to be chaos. So
Yep.
that's, that's basically the synopsis of my story, I guess. And so, goodbye, chat. Thank you for all your kind words. I see it all. And thank you, Eddie.
Thank you for
Love you,
coming up,
brother.
Ramon. Love
Peace
you,
out.
man. Peace out. Anybody else would like to come up on panel? You're more than welcome. And Phoenix, I saw you chat the other day, and I saw that you're friends with Will B, and Will B is a good friend of mine. And if you ever want to come up on panel and conversate, you're more than welcome, Phoenix Fireside. And Susie, it's good seeing you here. I'm waiting. It's loading up. Do you want to stay on camera, Phoenix? You can turn it off. Let me do this. Okay. How you doing, Phoenix?
Hi there.
How you holding up?
I'm good. I just wanted to reiterate with the gentleman who was up here. I could feel what he was saying. There's so many different resources available online. I was in a situation where he was. I wish he was still up here. The part, I wish he would come back up here, because the fact that the counselors are so hard to communicate with is they are young. He's right about that. And you feel like you're not really connecting with them to a certain degree. And
Correct.
and it is hard to shop around. I did go through actually quite a few. And it does, yeah, get expensive when you're paying out of pocket. Absolutely. And insurance is ridiculous. But there are good counselors out there. But the best counseling I got while I was waiting and waiting for like months, when I was feeling at my lowest, the best help was on YouTube, talking to people like you.
Yep. That's what Dosa Rose said. A lot of us get connections through YouTube.
Yep. My loss, my journey started, and I don't want to lie, but I feel I was in a time warp, to be honest. When I'd actually have to look at my mother's urn to know the date, or the exact year. For the longest time, I was on YouTube saying, "Oh, my mom died, last year or 2 years ago," and it was like the same year, and I was saying 2 years. I was lost. Um, one day felt like a week. A week felt like a month. I would pace. I locked myself down in my house. What I didn't know was that her death was gonna cause me to shut down, not leave my home. I still have not left my home except for doctor's appointments. An occasional trip to Home Depot as an exciting adventure. and only at closing time. It's developed into like an agoraphobia. Grief can manifest into other things where it triggers
Yep.
childhood trauma. Grief. Oh, sorry, my phone's going off because that's the hubs checking in on me to make sure I'm good.
Go ahead and mute yourself and answer the phone. You're
Sorry
good.
about that.
You're good. And those of you who are watching in the bushes, thank you for being here and showing support. And those of you who are in chat, thank you for being here. You know, grief comes in all forms. You know, some of us know how to handle it, some of us don't. You know, when you lose somebody near and dear to you, you don't know how you're going to handle it. You think you know, but you don't know. No one is ever mentally prepared when you lose something or someone, a friend, a pet, a family member. It's going to happen.
Sorry about that.
You're good. You're good. It's important. You got a loved one that cares about you and checks in on you.
Yeah, he checks on me like every break. So, I wish I could. So I don't know. Grief actually, like, I hope that, first of all, Wilby had come to my channel and he would actually talk. He got me through quite a bit. We did a lot of talk therapy. He came at the end of a lot of my my talk therapy. Um, there's so much more though, because I actually went through a lot of trauma too. But my mom's the grief part. So if we were sticking just through the grief and not mental illness or trauma or PTSD and things like that, that I also had, just the grief alone. I actually took care of my mom and my dad for 20 years. My dad had multiple sclerosis. Now, you would think, yeah, you're prepared for that, right? That's the end game. You're taking care of somebody who has progressive multiple sclerosis. You know that they have an indwelling catheter. You know that their health is declining. You're taking care of them. You're giving them bed baths. You know that they are declining every day. But you're just hoping, oh, hang on there, hang on. That's all you're hoping for is another day with your parents every day. Mom's got bone degeneration. Well, eventually dad's going to the VA hospital and it's time. And now the infections are so bad, they're saying they're moving him to the palliative floor. And you're going, what? And your mom's in the hospital and I'm stuck here. And guess what? I have 5 older sisters and I'm the youngest. And they're saying, hey, guess what, Phoenix? And they call me Dolly or Phoenix. So you can call me whatever you want. Hey, you're the next in charge. You have to sign this paper. And I'm sitting there and I go, what do you mean? You got to sign a paper. Well, it's a paper that pretty much is saying that they're stopping all medical advances that will save him in any way. So there's no oxygen anymore. There's no antibiotics. There's no advanced life support anymore. We're going to stop that, and it's just comfort care. It's just going to be pain management because this is what your dad wrote down. This is what he said. And are you ready to move forward with that? Because there's nothing more we can do. And here, my mom's in the hospital so bad, and I can't ask her. I can't ask her. I'm the next in charge. My sisters really aren't around, but I could make some phone calls, and I said, and right away they're like, "That's what Dad wanted. That's what Dad wanted." No one really wants to talk about it except, well, that's what Dad wanted. And I said, "Yep, that's what he wanted." But I am the one who had to sign the paper. And you know what it reminded me of is, you say pet loss, right? And what did I have to do? I had to, with my mom and my hubs, we actually had to take the pet in, our favorite little dachshund, Duchess, and we had to take her. And what do they have you do there? You got to sign a paper, right? You got to sign that freaking paper. And we had to sign that paper too. And you know what? None of us wanted to take that one responsibility. So we all signed the paper for her. Mom signed her name, Hub signed his name, and I signed my name, so that not one of us would hold that guilt alone. But when it came to signing for Dad, I was alone in that. And there's guilt. There
Yep.
sure is guilt. Was there a chance that I was making that wrong decision? So sure, there was guilt there. But I signed it. So when you talk about grief, that was a big one for me. I shook, my legs were weak. And I still feel it. I can feel all those emotions today. And
I can hear it.
and
I
I
can hear
could
it.
tell you that's the 8 I don't even know. I don't want to lie. I could be wrong on all these. He died January 31st. I think it was a 31st. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest of 31. Okay, so yeah, 31st of January, I think. And I don't know what year. 18, I think. He made it through Trump's first presidency election. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Not like the details matter, but whatever. I feel like 8 years ago. And then Mom hung on for a while, but she then followed 4 years later. And so I lost them both. And then same thing. I had Mom on hospice, and then I was alone. I had to take care of her cremation by myself. My sisters weren't around. My sister showed up to help me. I was moving at the time. I mean, there's a lot. I'm just saying, there's guilt, and when it's put on one daughter. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone's just I have it all the way down too. I have I had the responsibility, but why it was me, I don't know. It just is what it is. But when there's no structure of a mom or a dad, the patriarch or the matriarch is gone, someone has to step up. And when no one is there to do it, the daughters all disappear, or the sons, and they all divide. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. And especially if there's any dysfunction in the family, maybe that's what everyone should do, is go build your own families. Go build it up the way you want it. Build your own little sectors of happiness. Or what my friend RJ likes to call it, a happy mess. Make your own happy mess in your own little circles, and do it the way you want it, and build it up to your expectations, and find your own niche somehow.
Yep.
And I don't know how we find it, but I know that it's possible. I'm just now coming out of some kind of a fog, but only through working through the trauma that I've dealt with, that actually my parents were the cause of. And that's for another day. But grief, I grieve them. I loved them. I loved them for who they became when they changed, but they were not so great. But I grieved the goodness in them. Very thankful my family is so close. My sister is already moving into that role since my dad passed, and as my mom slows down, says Kathy.
Yep. I'm
Cindy
sorry.
sorry.
I'm getting some back feed.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I can hear myself through your speaker.
Oh.
Let
Could
me
you
see.
the whole time?
Yeah, every time I talk, I
Oh.
sound robotic coming through your speaker.
Wow.
Let me see if it's still going. No, it's gone now, Phoenix. It's gone now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Is it when
Yeah, I
I
don't hear
talk?
that. It's good now. I don't hear myself no more.
Okay.
You're good now. Thank you for coming up and sharing.
Okay.
That took a lot out of you to share.
Yeah. Sorry. So I don't know if that even is going to help anybody, but
But it helped
I
you.
wanted, yeah.
That's all that matters is it helped you.
Yeah. All right.
You know,
So
and hopefully, Phoenix, while you're up here, you know, you can conquer some of the fears you have.
yeah.
It'll take time, but hopefully you can. And Vermont Cheddar said, trying to catch up. Thank you for the kind words, Phoenix.
Oh,
That's
sure,
what
Vermont. And
Yes.
anybody who's looking for therapy, there's mindful meditations. It's available on YouTube. Just look up mindful meditation. And it's available on YouTube.
Hello, Jill. How you doing? So, you know, covering the subject, grief and loss is very difficult. Because it's emotional and triggering, because people have experienced it and are going through it right now. And there are people that have experienced what you have experienced and want to know that they're not alone in the same experience.
Mm.
So,
Well, I also want to say it's also normal for people to not really care or want to talk about your loss.
yes, and
It's
sometimes
totally
that's
normal.
difficult too. Yes.
Because I walked around this house, I'm going to tell you, I paced from door to door when I had loss, and I
Yep.
thought I had tons of friends. I thought, I have so many Facebook friends, you guys. I have so many high school friends. They all like me. They all love me. They're all here for me because, you know, I'm sending out Christmas cards, birthday cards, Christmas gifts, things like that. You think that people, you know, a baby shower, stuff like that. I walked back and forth. My mom had tons of friends of people who loved her. We got two, not that it's about gifts or anything, you guys, but I really walked from patio door, breathing my breath, window to window, from door to door, front door to back door, crying and sobbing by myself like a big baby. I'm 50, you guys. I'm 50 years old and I lost my mama. And I walked from door to door and no one was here and no big sisters, no nobody. I'm not to be a big baby, but I feel this emotion every time. I finally opened my freaking front door. I wish I could swear, but I opened my front door. I stood on my front stoop and I said, "Where are my freaking casseroles?" Where were they?
Yep.
Where was everybody? Where was not that I don't even like casseroles. Okay. It was a joke, but I was it made me laugh because where was the movies? Where was the tuna? Where was the awful tuna casserole? Where was Where was the mastacholi? Where's the garlic bread and the, where was the comfort food?
Yep.
And no one was there. No one. No mashed potatoes, no meatloaf.
Called
But
grief
I'll
food. Yes.
Yeah.
Grief
Yeah,
food.
there you go. Yes, dose of rose. You got it. Oh gosh, I love that people know what I'm talking about.
I know
Oh
what
my
you were
gosh, you
talking
guys.
about.
I love it. You guys are amazing. Anyways, I just, you know what I'm saying? Because I would be that person. You know what? What do you guys, that's what I did when my dad, when my dad was in the hospital. Do you know what I made? I took time to leave. And for my sisters, they all showed up. I got that family that kicks up their feet in the waiting room with all the kids, and they got some snacks and stuff. And, everyone's got their to go drinks that they stopped at McDonald's for themselves. And I went home, and you know what I made? I made a whole turkey. I made stuffing, I made mashed potatoes, I made sweet potatoes, I made green bean casserole. I made it all, and I catered it. I brought it all back to the hospital, and I laid it all out on the table for my sisters, because you know what? I knew that my dad would have liked all of us to have a Thanksgiving dinner and be thankful that we were all together.
That's awesome. Are you still close to your sisters?
No, I never was. No, that's a lie. We were, but I don't know. Everything got divided somehow throughout the years. Everybody's probably
Have
got
you
their
tried
own
reaching
story.
out to them recently?
Yeah, I got a couple that I'm close to, but not so close to anymore. I think everybody's got their own. My one sister, I don't know. I got too many stories. We could touch base on Mental Health Day and trauma. We could talk on, and I'll touch base with you on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start covering trauma more
Let's
frequently.
do, yeah, let's do trauma and PTSD, and I'll tell you about my sister.
So, but I suffer with childhood trauma,
Oh yeah, me
and
too.
I suffer with PTSD and bipolar and anxiety,
Yeah, I have
and to name
depression,
a few other
anxiety.
things.
Yeah.
So,
How many people
but
you know with agoraphobia?
there's actually somebody in chat that was dealing with agoraphobia,
Oh my gosh.
and they're slowly breaking that fear.
Yeah, I can walk the perimeter of my house now. It's taken a little bit, but I think it took a year for me to do the perimeter. Maybe a year and a half. My friend Rose helped me do that.
I tell people my opinions. Um, you're slowly breaking agoraphobia. Getting out of your house and getting into the sun is what's important.
Yes, the sun. That's what I was doing. That's what I wanted to do. I slowly got out, wanted to get in the sun. And then once I made it out to the porch, then I realized I could make it over to the garden. So then I planted the garden area, and then I sat out by the garden, planted a garden, watched it grow, helped it grow. And then before you knew it, I made it to the lawn, and then I could put my feet in the grass. And then it was better and better. Yeah. So I don't want to get you off topic. I'm sorry.
It happens. It's this is a mental health
But
channel.
wow, Susie says I don't leave my house much, but I sleep most of the day, most of the day.
Yeah.
Gardening is so therapeutic, says Kathy. Wow, you planted a garden? Yeah, I did. Well, it was easy to put just the seeds in, not the seeds, the potatoes. I cut up a potato that had sprouted, and I just stuck it right in the dirt. And I did.
Sweaty said it's hard to bust out of the cocoon when you feel safe there.
Yes, yes, and safety was me hiding a secret, and that's where my PTSD comes from and trauma. And that's what I realized I was keeping, was a secret, mom's secret. But once mom died, that's what the floodgates opened.
You know,
So the grief turned into trauma release.
I am doing okay. I am doing okay. Thank you for asking. I'm
Oh,
doing
are you
okay.
okay? Are you all right, Eddie?
Yeah, you know, some things happen, and I'm not going to address it. You know, between friends, me and a friend had a falling out. I'm not going to address it.
Oh, okay.
Does it hurt me? Yes,
Yeah, I bet.
but you know, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. You know, um, so I just tell people take it one day at a time. You know, when it comes to agoraphobia, you know,
Mhm.
a fear of going out in public. You know, eventually, when you do take that step and you get out there, you're going to say to yourself, "Why didn't I do this sooner?"
Right.
You
Oh,
will say
yeah,
that.
I know. I know it's wasted time. I cry, I grieve. There's another part of grieving, you guys. Grieving over lost time.
Yes.
I'm I'm so mad over lost time. I'm grieving even over lost time of my life. I'm talking about even, oh, see, that's another part of the grieving is really a lot of time I wasted helping people who were undeserving of my time.
So,
I grieve lost time and
Phoenix,
freedom of.
do you do Discord?
I don't. I'm actually afraid of Discord. I've heard so many horror stories of people stealing your information and phone numbers and stuff.
Well, we don't do phone numbers, and I don't allow stealing of information on my platform. Just saying. And we don't
Yeah.
allow people to put their personal info on Discord.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you even get on there? I
Well,
mean, I have.
I have a Discord. I have a platform. You know, um, I'm very protective. Okay, I'm very protective over my community.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not very active right now. It is, but it isn't.
Right.
You know, I do what they call voice chat. You know what that is?
No.
So there's a section on Discord. Yeah, be careful what you put in your profile. Yes, but there's a section on Discord. You usually during the day or at night, if I'm not live streaming, I go into voice chat and people join me in there and we have conversation.
Okay.
You know, and we talk about day to day life or what's going on. You know, and how people are doing. You know, just we just talk. It's open game. We talk about anything and everything there. Okay, there's two things I don't cover on my channel is politics and religion. Those two things and drama. I don't talk about those three subjects. But in Discord, it's open game. We freely talk about whatever we want to talk about, you know,
Is
because
that why you flinched when I said whatever got in office?
yeah, because I don't I don't talk about medication here. I don't talk about medication. I don't promote medicine.
Okay.
Um, there those three things. Okay, I promote therapy. I promote just talking in general, venting, getting it off your chest.
Okay.
If you're having a bad day, instead of saying you're okay, talk about it
Okay.
because um, you could tell when you ask somebody how you're doing
Yeah.
and they say I'm okay. You know they're not
Right.
really okay.
Right.
There's something going on. And sometimes people are afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. You're not prepared to talk about it.
Right.
I have a dear friend that is a mod that I talk to outside of YouTube, and they disappeared for 5, 6 months. And I thought something happened. They finally reached out and explained everything that they were going through. And I said, girl, we're friends. Don't do that. You made me worry. You know, I care about people I make connections with. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
so,
right. And when someone disappears like that, you get worried.
yes. So they understand. And lately they've been reaching out to me. And if they're going to disappear for a few days, they let me know. So I'm not worrying. So, but you have a channel?
I do. I actually, I'm going to be honest. I had a lot of content on there, bearing my soul.
Yep.
I mean, literally everything. Everything.
Yep.
And I had some unwanted people hearing my
Ooh.
story. And I actually came to the realization now, after 2 years or however long it's been up. People have known my story for 2 years. This is me, Phoenix rising from the ashes. I
Yep.
was Dolly Bear. I was Dolly Bear. I had a different channel. I got some harassment for my story. People might not like who I am and what I've been through and the things that I've done, or
People have a
the
past. Everybody has a past.
exactly. And people might not like the things that I've been through or the things that I've done or whatever. But there's a lot of my story is a twisted, turned, crazy one. And when you're groomed as a child from the age of 3 to 21 years old,
Yep.
um, you're going to learn behaviors that is not becoming the kind of person you want to be. And you might seek attention
Yep.
in different ways.
Yep. I'd
But that
love
doesn't
to.
make,
My email's in chat, and I would love to discuss more with you
yeah,
and get an understanding,
yeah.
and then
But in
maybe
other
talk,
words, shut up, stop talking.
because we're about to get into a different subject.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I
Yeah.
grieve over my old channel. There's a whole, that's another grief. No, anyway, so yeah. So now I've deleted all my content.
So
I didn't hide it. I didn't privatize it. I deleted it. I went through a depression and anxiety this last week. I was almost going to leave YouTube completely, and I deleted it all. And then my friend said, "Don't leave. You can still talk about it."
well, I'm gonna do childhood trauma again, because it's a very important topic to discuss, because there's a lot of us who have it, who've experienced it, who are still going through it, who haven't got the help for it. There are people out there that are probably listening that are still dealing with it. So I think it's an important subject to keep covering.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, let me
yes,
get off of here before I ruin your entire life. I
there's
don't
no
want to.
ruining. You're good. Thank you for coming up, Phoenix.
Well, I appreciate
So
your time, Eddie, and blessings to everyone. And take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
come into chat and copy my email address, okay?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
when you leave, go into chat, and I'll have somebody in chat drop my email address again, and you can copy it and send me an email.
Okay.
So thank you for coming up, Phoenix.
All righty. Remember, you guys, you're not alone.
No one's alone.
Nope.
So I just want to thank everybody for being here. We've heard from different people from different walks of life who have experienced some sort of grief and are still experiencing it today. And just want to let people know that you're not alone. And you're accepted here. And I just want to thank those in chat for being supportive. You guys are an amazing group of people. And you're always welcome. I will probably be live. I will be live tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to be discussing. I do know that a dear friend of mine here in my state and not too far from where I live lost everything. His house, everything, to a fire. And I'm not in California. So I'm going to try to reach out to him maybe tomorrow, talk about it, give him some support. Because you just don't have to lose a loved one to grieve. If you lose a house, and grieve, so but I just want to thank you guys for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, Kevin K. It's grief and loss are serious topics. So everybody listening, thank you for being here. I love you guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 8:30. And until then, remember, you're not alone. Take care, my friends. All Things Serious is out.
Let's talk about the mind for a minute. The kind of battles fought, you don't just win it. It's a war zone inside, no camouflage. Every thought's a grenade, sitting ready to barrage. Growing up, they said man up, but never speak up. So I bottled it all, like a shaking soda cup. Pressure building inside, I could feel it crack. But the world outside only sees the mask, not the fact. Depression knocking at the door, anxiety's my guest. They invited themselves in, now I'm under duress. But mental health ain't a weakness, it's the strength to own. Every scar, every tear, every struggle we've honed. It's okay not to be okay. Don't let anyone take your light away. In the darkness, you'll find your voice. Speak your truth, make your choice. It's okay not to be okay. Don't let anyone take your light away. In the darkness, you'll find your voice. Speak your truth, make your choice. See,